Here you go. So, demystifying cloud security. Now, the title itself is clear, right? So, demystifying cloud security means yes, everybody wants to go to cloud. That's for sure today. There are a lot of paradigm shift has happened over the last couple of years. We have seen everybody now wants to move to cloud, right? There was a time when people was thinking, should we go to cloud or not? Now the question has changed. It's not that should we go to cloud or not. The question is to which cloud should we go? So there's been huge change, right? So since more and more people are actually, moving to cloud, so obviously the cloud security is becoming increasingly a question because everybody has the concern about the security in the cloud, right? So a lot of people are still trying to make their move, making a decisions, they're still hold up for some reason or other. So let's see in this webinar how far I can address your concerns. So cloud and security is not a either or proposition, by the way, right? So what does it mean? You cloud and security goes hand in hand. You can't just have cloud or security, one of them. It has to go hand in hand. So we'll see in this webinar how we can make a move cloud and security together and take it forward, right? So I think Gayatri has already introduced. So here are a couple of things that we'll cover up. Cloud adoption, shifting paradigm, what I was talking about, barriers to cloud adoption, cloud security, and what's important in for you here, and key considerations for cloud security, framework, or as you take a decision for cloud security capabilities building. SuneraTech cloud and cyber security framework, and few success stories that we'll talk about, and of course at the end we'll have question and answer. So I'll move a little fast here. So this is all known fact. This is a uh, recently published cloud security report, and this itself speaks, right? So cloud benefits the enterprise organizations from small and medium-sized companies to the enterprise organizations. Everybody started moving to cloud. The cloud benefits are coming in different channels. The most prominently the four buckets that we could see in the cloud security report that came up is 39% people responded saying flexibility capacity. So flexible capacity or scalability is one concern, and they are reaping the benefit from cloud by moving to cloud. 39% people are actually because of scalability. The increased agility. Now, what does it mean? Increased agility means first a time to provision, right? Should you want to provision a machine quickly, business cannot wait for 10 days, 20 days, or turn up for a machine or lead time. So you need to spin up a machine quickly. So you need to respond, IT team need to respond quickly. So business cannot wait. So cloud is able to resolve that increasingly over the last couple of years and live up to the business requirement. 34% respondent has picked up cloud because of the increased agility. So is improved availability and business continuity. Need not to and I emphasize, cloud definitely changed the overall IT infrastructure landscape the way it has been so far. So it could be a data center based, or it could be colocation, or it could be on-premise hosting. So far, the entire data center business is kind of shrinking, and you can see it all across the globe, right? So business continuity, the small companies, right? Startup companies who were not able to think about business continuity couple of years back, today they are able to think about the business continuity just because of the advent of cloud, because it's so cheap and so easy to create a business continuity in the cloud. So 32% of the respondents are kind of agreeing they're moving to cloud because of the business continuity and improved availability. And so is most important thing is 32% reduction in overall TCO moving to cloud. Either it could be total cost of ownership, or it could be overall maybe through the managed service total cost of operations together, right? So that's what I was talking about. So should cloud be an option is no more a question. What is question today? Which cloud? So here are a couple of reports from ITG. 78% companies has moved to cloud, whether it's application SaaS or infrastructure or PaaS in different form. People have already started moving, and and today we all know, right? So business is done in the internet. There is no alternative, right? So every business is today is done in internet, whether it's mobile based or it's a social media marketing, right? So we all know. So this could be for various reasons. It could be for regulatory pressure, or it could be reacting to a static disruption. So there are some disruptions are coming. So to react to that disruptions, they have to move to cloud or doing the business in the internet, or it could be because of driving innovation. So of course, innovation is a key today, right? So companies are creating completely new business today, and new business models are not fixed today, right? Every day business has to change the models to maintain the competitive edge. So there is a huge cloud push, and push is coming, right, for many organizations to live up to the pressure to remain competitive, right, and especially in the digital economy, right. This push is even increasingly evident every day. So hence the cloud push is happening, right, for many reasons which we know. It could be for agility, it could be better cost management, or be it whatever reason, but yes, there is a push is evident from all. Right. Now, this is what we call as a digital disruption is, right? So digital disruption is so much that is forcing the business to change how business has to be done today in future, right? So there's a well saying called digital Darwinism, right? I just put it purposefully here. Digital Darwinism is nothing but is a evolution, right? That taking place. That's all the technology effects on society today. If you see, right, are disrupting business models coming up, right? So they are not able to keep the pace because, right, for various reasons. Because customers are connected, nimble customers or informed customers, so on and so forth. So it's called golden triangle, right? So this has been Fred Wilson, which is our venture capitalist, right? As per him, real time. So today business needs every data in real time. They cannot wait. So I have seen through this entire journey how the transformation happening, right? There's a data report or BIBO or business intelligence reports. Earlier, I have seen the reports take 24 hours or next business day. Now today, business team cannot wait. They need a mail or a call or sometimes from the mobile immediately need that data. So that's how the real-time, connectivity, real-time results they are expecting from the backend team. And of course, the social media, right? Increasingly use of social media, mobile technology, with the advent of all three, right? It's called golden triangle of disruption, right? Now, we all know that cloud benefits are there. We all are also agreeing that there is a digital disruptions happening all across the globe. And there is a push for moving to cloud, but many of us today are still stuck, are still living with a few apprehensions or held back, right? Because of few reasons or others. So these reasons are valid. Many of us been through this phase who already been in cloud, they are past these phases. Some of us who could not make it yet, probably somewhere stuck in for one of our other reason. One of the most important reason is security in the cloud. Of course, data protection, losing controls, performance and uptime could be a concern. Or the last piece I have seen is a vendor lock-in. I have seen few prospect customers, they have expressed their concern for vendor locking. Oh, if I go to this customer, this particular cloud, if I'll probably get locked up there for next couple of years. I'll not be able to come out. Who will help me? So is there an opportunity or flexibility for me to move? Is the question they're looking for. So today we'll precisely focus on the security and in the cloud in this webinar. So let's see, here are a few leading barriers of cloud adoption, right? So there are multiple barriers for many of us not able to make a move to cloud yet, or not make a significant move to cloud rather. So what are those? We all are, invariably are probably aware of this, barriers that we are talking about. The top one is data security loss and leakage risk, right? Whether it is, how far it is true or not, that's a different story. But yes, that's a concern, right? One of the barrier for cloud adoption. General security risk, of course, right? So what happens if the cloud, if the infrastructure fails, if I don't get control, what about my business operations, how we'll move, and all those are general security concerns. Lack of budget is holding people back. They want to, your hardware nearing refresh, right? You are in co-location, you are in data centers, your hardware nearing a refresh. You want to make a complete technology refresh, right? But you probably do not know at times that the cloud actually, there are, it's a cloud has actually evolved a lot, right? It's no more a upfront investment. It's all about OpEx, right? So you actually can make a move to cloud without making any upfront investment, but many of us probably are not aware. We probably think it's a lot of investment required for cloud. Upfront investment is required that hold us back to make our cloud journey. Apart from that, I have seen legal and regulatory compliances that are holding us back. Lack of staff resources to expertise. Many of us are not up to the speed, not upgrading ourselves to embrace cloud technically, right? So we are very strong technically, maybe Linux, Windows, networks, this and that, but technically did not upgrade, a lot of resources did not upgrade to cloud. So that could be one reason. Integrations with existing IT environment is one challenge that I have seen many IT professionals are expressing their concerns that my Active Directory is here in on-premise. How do I take my Active Directory? Okay, my business application wants to be there. How do I do integrate this between these two? There are a lot of questions, right? So people are probably trying to find those answers. And of course, loss of control. People think moving the systems to cloud, probably you will lose your control, right? So that's one of the barriers for cloud adoption. Now, please understand, moving to cloud, whether it's easy, at the same time, it opens up your system boundaries, right? So people is, the moment you adopt cloud, people are no more limited or sitting in one captive, office, right? Where you have firewall, you have physical security, you have everything, right? It's much easier for you to, implement any security standard or information security standards. But the moment it's in cloud, one really do not have to access it from sitting in one office, right? You can globally access even from home, right? Working from home it's a common phenomenon today, right? Or it accesses from gadgets while on the move or anything. So this definitely increases the challenge for you as you move your applications or workloads to cloud. So people bring their own devices, people bring their own licenses, right? So that increases vulnerability, the overall threat surface, but equally, those are the few things, right? So as your system boundaries opens up, what are the challenges? So data outside of your perimeter, right? Obviously. So when your office is there, there's a perimeter firewall. You know everything is inside your perimeter. The moment you are going to cloud, your perimeter actually dispersed, right? And of course, then hybrid cloud architecture, right? So you have some piece in maybe data center collocation, some portion in cloud. So it actually increases your challenge as an IT pros. That how do you keep a control of between on-prem and cloud together? Obviously, those are challenges. Direct access and so on and so forth, right? So now here is a cloud security report that brings out, even after all these challenges and I'm embracing hybrid cloud, your your system boundaries are expanding. It looks very challenging, but here is a report. Security is obviously concerned. Now, few highlights of the report. What I just brought it out here. 93% of the respondent they say, right, moderately or extremely concerned about cloud security, which is fair enough, right? 93% of the respondents. Now, it also visible that 28%, right, of the respondent, they said they have faced a security incident issue in past 12 months in cloud, right? It could be whichever cloud, right? It could be VPS server, it could be VPC, it could be hyperscale, whatever, public cloud, private cloud, altogether, right? 28% people have said yes, moderate, some amount of security incidents they have kind of faced. Now, if I break it down, this 28% of security incidents that these people have, 28% respondents has actually replied. So what are those areas they have faced those challenges? So it's 27% says it's exposed to data got exposed, right? 20% says malware infection, 19% says account compromise, 17% vulnerability exploited. Now, if you look at these four areas, we day to day, day in, day out, we deal with such things even in on-premise, right? Don't we do? Yes. Nothing new challenge I see here, which is specifically poised for cloud environment. Yes, exposed data, it's all about what processes we follow, how stringent we, what's framework of information security, incorporate. It all depends on that. Malware infection, again, how endpoints are secured, right? What malware, anti-malware systems you have, right? So again, these challenges are no different in on-premise or in collocation or wherever you are operating today. And 17% vulnerability exploited. Yes, this is the same scenario even in on-premise. So all these cloud security concerns that I have, 93% people, it boils down. If you see, there are 5-6 areas: data loss or leakage, data privacy confidentiality. 39% says legal and regulatory compliance, 39% accidental exposure, and so on and so forth. But most important, the top in the list is data loss, leakage, and data privacy confidentiality. These are concerns, right? Obviously. So today, GDPR has come into force from May 2018, right? So European Union GDPR is already in place, right? And other regions are also coming up with their own data privacy policies. Everybody is now tightening the data policy, data sovereignty, and confidentiality, right? So let's see how do you approach the entire piece. So why it is important for you as a customer or platform provider or service provider, right? So now one important trend that I'm seeing, right, over the last couple of years is a cyber risk, cyber exposure score, right? So there is a prediction by 2022, the cyber security ratings will become as important as credit ratings. That means a company's health will be checked by your company's cyber security ratings. There's a cyber exposure score. How much is your cyber is exposed, right? What is your cyber exposure score? Now, the cyber exposure score come from various risk indicators like your vulnerability data, your threat intelligence, or asset criticality. This remains, by the way, whether you stay in on-premise or co-location or in cloud, it all remain same, because vulnerability, you remain as much vulnerable, right? Threat intelligence and asset criticality. So together is your right cyber exposure score, and that is where you can set your benchmark. This is your minimum cyber exposure, cyber risk, right? Posture, and from there you can further improve, right? This is one trend I am just sharing, right, in the market. Now, cloud security is a concern, data security, data loss, there are cyber security aspects are also already there. Then what do I do? I have to go to cloud, business has to operate in cloud, that's mandatory, right? At the same time, there are concerns, there are security aspects. So what do I do? How do I address, right? So here are a few, pointers how enterprise organizations are coping up with such all those concerns. So one of the aspect, 51% says train and certify existing IT staff, right? I'm sure many of us are adopting this methodology. We are pushing people, encouraging people and our technical staff to take up new course and get trained into the cloud, understand. That is one method. We also see what we recommend, 45% people are inclined to use a native cloud provider security tool, right? If it is Azure, Azure has security centers, AWS has its own security hub, Oracle has its cloud access security broker, or SIEM incidents management, event and incident management. So that's what people are responding, that yes, they are preferring cloud native solutions for security, right? Tools. 30% says partner with managed security service provider. This depends, right? It's a small organizations or enterprise organizations, depends, because it's difficult for smaller organization to really build and afford a complete set of information security, IT security pros, which is very costly affair. Even enterprise organizations are also increasingly leveraging managed security service providers. Deploy security software from independent software vendors. 29% says hire staff dedicated to cloud security. That's another, respondents. 27% are saying this. So this is how it is. But the bottom line is, I am saying more and more CIOs are increasingly tapping expertise of managed cloud service providers. Now, the reason I say this, your success to the cloud, right? Will much depend on how effectively you are able to move to cloud and implement the cloud in architecture for your business. Most of the cases, what I see, that ill implementation of cloud is not able to give you the right benefit of cloud. Sometimes not effective usage of cloud, and sometimes you are not able to drive the efficiency of from the cloud, right? Computing. Now, this all happened because many of us actually want to try our own and you learn, and it actually delays your overall cloud acceleration, right? While it delays your cloud acceleration, at the same time, you also risk your business, right? You learn from mistakes. But CIOs are smarter. They do not want to learn from their own mistakes. They want to learn from others' mistakes, right? And that's what is the smart move. So where you have to start? Cloud security capabilities. So some point you have to start this, right? So few consideration before you start relooking at your cloud security framework, right? Where you start. So few considerations here. could be capability development based on risk and gap. Could be a very good starter. I always recommend that because you don't know. It's called risk-based, security, risk-based security, right? Otherwise, security world itself is a big ocean. So you need to create a benchmark. You need to do a gap analysis. You need to fix those and create a baseline for you, right? And from there, you move on, climb on the maturity scale. Security architecture dependency is very, very important. What is your security architecture? How are you, right from the inception and at every phase of your adoption, you should definitely look back at the security architecture. Strategic investment, yes, you need to definitely take the management on board, because many times I see the senior management, right? They really do not, probably do not understand the information security or the cloud security challenges, all those aspects, right? For them, it's not as important as much as business is important, but probably they realize at some point by the time business has suffered enough loss or damage. So it's very important that you take management also into confidence on board in your decision, so that you don't face a challenge for strategic investment in cloud security or information security. Cost and efforts, yes, prioritize initiative based on cost and risk and so on. So roadmap, very well. Gayatri, you want me to take a pause?
Yeah, sure. Do we have any questions which we can take up? The floor is open now.
Let me check quickly. Gayatri. I do not see any question here.
Yeah, there is one which is there, Sujit, where we are where the question is, how do we exactly determine which stage cloud adoption stage we are, and how can we ensure that it is secure?
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a very good question. Yeah, so there is a cloud maturity assessment. The question looks one-liner, but answer is not as simple. There is a cloud maturity assessment methodology. You can look for. There are companies who does that. Even we, as a managed security service provider and managed service provider in cloud, when we do that, we help a couple of our customers. There are a lot of questionnaires. Again, we fill that up. There is a process for doing that to assess at what level you are in your overall cloud adoption, roadmap, right? Or as an enterprise cloud adoption journey. You can definitely gauge that and assess it. So there is a set of questionnaires through which you can assess it. Yeah. Did I answer that question?
Sure, Sujit, thanks. I also see that Kwaku K had a question. He's raising his hand. I'm just requesting him to type in his question in the Q&A bar. Okay, probably we'll take it up in the next pause. Just to proceed further, we can proceed further, Sujit.
All right, thank you. So yes.
Sorry, we do have the question. How do we investigate security breach in the cloud since ownership of data rests with the client and not the provider?
Ownership of the second part, ownership of the?
I'll just repeat the question. How do we investigate security breach in the cloud since generally the ownership of data rests with the client and not the provider?
All right, got it. So it's about data, leak, breach about data leak, not about the cloud infrastructure or cloud layer failure. That's fine. Now, data leak, yes, data can leak at various level and various places, but that is where we call cloud access security broker. Every cloud service providers has a cloud access security broker, right? which controls, which sits between end users and the cloud service, right? Between this is a cloud service broker. If you subscribe, if you start using the cloud service access security broker, it will give you the logging of each and every, access, and where is that, you can actually do auditing, you can create your own alerts mechanism, right? You can create policies there, and enforce those policies, right? What type of data has to go and what not. So I have seen many of the enterprise organizations are actually not much aware about the cloud access security broker, and sometimes they compromise. So it can be done. That's one. Secondly, many of the cloud service providers are not as transparent, right? They do not share the logs, the raw logs at times, and so when you are selecting your cloud service provider, you need to be little, diligent, right, in selecting which cloud service provider you should pick, right? There are a couple of parameters you have to pick. You have to, go through those parameters and check which cloud service provider is giving what level of, access and what level of visibility to the cloud platform. So to answer your question, yes, there is a breach. The breach can be definitely investigated. There is a logging mechanism, as I said, cloud access security broker is there. It has complete trail of your audit trail. You can check each and every piece, and you can track back where is the data actually, where the data has actually gone, out of the system boundary. Yeah. Did I answer the question? All right. So let's move on. That's called adaptive security architecture, right? So somebody was asking me which stage of our cloud adoption we are in. So yes, so maturity in the cloud security cannot be achieved overnight in one shot. So obviously it has to be is a continuous process, right? You slowly achieve that scale of maturity. But yes, what you can do is at the bottom layer is detect and respond. So it's called detection and response, right? So response is nothing but incident response, IR. But detection is today we know about EDR, right? It's called endpoint detection response, right? Now there are a lot of tools are available today. Endpoint detection response. It's nothing but an antivirus, but it is better than antivirus. Antivirus it does not give that level of visibility, right, and tracking and an audit trail. But endpoint detection response is little one step ahead of the traditional antivirus solutions. And the industry is moving from EDR towards MDR. MDR means managed detection response, right? A lot of companies are opting. Managed detection response is not a tool. Managed detection and response is a service. Is a service provided by managed security service providers, right? Since it's difficult for you to man 24/7, right? It's from reactive to proactive. So MDR gives you more proactive response, right? It does not you only give you the response that there is a detection. It also actually, get into that, anomalies and give a triage into the anomalies and react to that. So it covers the incidents response as well. Now, this is where you can start your, fix your baseline that your incident response and detection is all fine, be it SIEM implementation or be it, right? So monitoring has to be 100%. How do you monitor? What are the possibilities? It could be endpoint, it could be firewall, it could be servers, it could be email gateway, and all has to be brought under one umbrella. And then probably you can, from this reactive to the proactive mode, right? You can move next to the next level, right? Where you can predict, you can have AI-enabled SIEM solutions in place, where it will have a anomaly detection automatically, You will understand, it will have correlations of the previous incidents and all that, right? And prevent. Of course, the last step is prevent. So since you have all those inputs, you can proactively take preventive measures, harden few systems, isolate systems, and all those stuff. Okay? So these all happen in a cyclic order, and believe me, it's not a one-time affair. It's a continuous process, right? Policy, compliance, any inputs you get, you have to go back into the policy and see that that particular section of the policy has been fixed and come back to the compliance standard again. This all goes in cyclic order. Now, what we call is layered security approach. So cloud security with layered security approach, right? Now, layered security means that at every layer you have a different set of security. It could be network security, it could be asset management, it could be IT, identity and access management, vulnerability management, CMIR, that's what I was talking about, right? Every layer you have to protect it. It's all about security and how do you build your IT security. Now this is all about cloud. I'm saying in the center. If we look at IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, if it is a full-fledged enterprise cloud company or cloud service provider who has IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, whom you can rely more than who has only IaaS and PaaS, who does not have services across the three, tiers of services, right? He is not expected to be as much security compliant than the service provider who has across the three layer of services, right? It could be IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So that include IDS, IPS in the cloud, that include data leak prevention, right? It could be your privilege account management. It's different. I have mentioned few. Believe me, there are many more areas that you need to fix. You need to have your, that's what we call it's a framework approach, right? It's a layered security, but layered security has to be done within a framework. It's to design your framework of your security, cloud security, and then address the layered security, right? Now, security and compliance, right? So it goes hand in hand, right? Again, so here is what a compliance framework that Sunera has kind of developed, very simplified format, right? So it's as you can start from ground up 20,000 ISO 20,000. It could be ITIL or COVID, then 27,001 ISMS, right? And then you can go up in the maturity ladder by NIST implementation, right? You can have FedRAMP, you can have risk management, right? And then once your information security is done, right, with the baseline, then you can eye for federal compliances, right? It could be HIPAA, FISMA, GDPR, ITAR, or DFIRS, or SOX, PCI, and then if you are going to cloud, either it is good to have a SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance, even for your internal business, but obviously it will be needed if you are giving the service to your end customer. Sometimes your end customer would need, if your cloud, if your application or business applications are in the cloud and interacting with your customer, so many of the customers are today asking for the SOC 1, SOC 2 report, because anything in cloud, they will be asking for SOC 1, SOC 2 report. So it's all on top of your ISMS and NIST. SOC 2 report will give you a third layer of information security, right? And every service provider should have their own cloud managed services audit mechanism, right? Which again, individually, the checks, right? If it is service provider, managed service provider, they checks and audits every managed service provider through various levels, right? It with the tools, process, and overall security arrangement. So this is how you can actually, build your overall cyber security framework, right? Ground up. Now, here are 5 keys to success for a cloud journey. Now, as I have been saying, right, so a lot of people try it in-house for cloud migration. There's nothing wrong in that. but then we'll have to make a very cautious call, right? So because time is a constraint. Sometimes learning takes time. Sometimes this learning is not complete. Then take a production system into the cloud with a lot of vulnerabilities and risk. Obviously, that's something business cannot afford. So 5 steps, what we say is pick the right cloud. Now, right cloud, which cloud is right cloud? As I said, there are questionnaires. You have to do little assessment, right? Which cloud provider shares you the SOC 1, SOC 2 report? Transparent. Cloud provider is transparent, shares the SOC 1, SOC 2 report with you, go with them, right? There are various other parameters in its check. Which cloud service provider give you the log access, right? And other parameters. So you have to check, you have to pick up which cloud service provider you should go with. And then of course the capability of the cloud service provider. Somebody has edge services, somebody do not have edge services, somebody is built for enterprise cloud, heavy duty cloud services and all that. Architect, build and network security, DR, backups, all those stuffs. You have to architect well, assess the right migration methodology, lift and shift versus rehost versus re-architect. Now, many of the IT professionals that I interacted, right, who ended up saying that it's all about lift and shift to the cloud. That's what is cloud migration or cloud adoption. That is where we go wrong. It's not about lift and shift. There are many other aspects. If you really have to benefit from cloud technology, cloud computing, it's not about only lift and shift. There are many other things that you have to take care that include cloud security framework and every aspect. Comprehensive operations and services. Yes, it has to be ITIL framework, right? Whether it's in-house, you do it for internal or for your customers facing, but entire thing has to be within the gamut of ITIL framework. And execution for performance, functionality, and all. I'll move on quickly. Yeah. So here is SuneraTech's cloud enablement framework. Now, how do you enable our customers for with the cloud effectively and efficiently? Modernize their IT into going to cloud and accelerate the business. How do we do that? Now, Sunera is capable supporting the customers across the entire cloud lifecycle management. What does it mean? It means your cloud advisory, right? That is at the starting, at the assessment level. When you have not started your journey, you want to make a move, you engage us, right? Every cloud customer that we have moved last year, almost like 75 cloud customers across the globe, we have moved to cloud, right? So now every customer that we engage, we definitely do a cloud assessment first. We check the readiness, we check their feasibility, we create a roadmap, we do a TCO analysis for them, right? Once everything is done, we propose the solution entire piece, only then we make a move, right? And then cloud migrate, cloud advisory, cloud migrate, and cloud optimize. It's not about moving to cloud and migrate and run. It's also about how do you make cloud computing effective and efficient. Now, efficiency can be driven. Efficiency, you can drive efficiency and optimize continuously, right? If you adhere to certain process, and if you look at, so for example, I have seen a lot of people are actually moved out from AWS cloud just because of billing, not because of technology. Amazon has a wonderful technology, but many of the people have moved out of AWS just because of you know billing, or sometimes the billing is so complex they don't understand. People really don't understand that billing. What is my month and month cost, right? So people don't know how many machines are actually, what is the utilization, how much you can optimize. Some machines are 40% utilized. So how do you optimize that machine? Like, can you just, provided you have insights, you can do, right? So I have seen few companies like Cloud Checker, Scalar, and few other companies who actually built a product on Amazon, and they run and earn money from the cloud AWS customers only by running that tool and only for optimization inside AWS. That's the level of scale, the complexity it has today. in Amazon, right? Now, one important thing we all need to understand, I have seen many IT professionals, many of IT leaders adopting cloud, fantastic, but somewhere they see this challenge, whose responsibility it is in the event of something happen, or we should know this even where event happened before that, right? So now it's not one cloud service provider responsibility alone, be it Amazon, Google, Azure, or Oracle Cloud, or CenturyLink, or any other cloud service provider. Cloud service provider takes care of the cloud infrastructure up to the virtualization layer and the peripheral layers and all those stuffs they take care. Any upgrade required, they will do proactively. Right? Any changes required for securing the virtual layer up to they will do that. But the compute that you install on top of the cloud infrastructure or tenancy that you subscribe, those base level cloud service provider access, right? So that level inside the compute, the data security of your instances is your responsibility. Your data classification has to be done by you, not by the cloud service provider. How cloud service provider would know what data is what classification for your business, right? So that is what is called shared responsibility model. Shared responsibility. Some part of the thing cloud service provider owns, some part of the portion uh, enterprise responsibility, and there are overlapping areas called shared. Overall, it's called shared responsibility model, right? Across the layers. Let's just continue. Having said this all, just wanted to share of, since we are having limited time, I thought quickly if I can take you through one of our recently concluded cloud migration project in US. It's an automotive company in US, and they moved out IBM support, and it's around 700 plus servers of different applications, almost 150 plus applications with clustering, with all possible, complexities. The most important part they wanted and very stringent is the security and compliances, because they are automotive companies. Their compliances and security standards are uncompromising. They had a lot of Oracle workloads like e-business suite, PeopleSoft, Oracle database. They have Windows as well. They have Exchange servers. All those stuffs we moved to Oracle Cloud, right? And they have built a DR for them. So it all happened with multiple tools. We have used certain tools to create a DR, a live DR at the block level replication between one region to the another region. It's a complete block level replication real time. So if the data come here, it data is straight away available in the other region. But yes, we have used that kind of tool to ensure that it's possible, right? Similarly, for the compliances in the cloud, right? They require 100% GDPR compliance. So where is their data processing taking place inside the cloud, computes, right? You have to define that. You have to prove it that your data is not going out of that. So each and every aspects we have implemented for them. We have done a layered security for them. Most important aspect, what we did for them is the firewall software appliance. So we have actually installed a perimeter security a checkpoint software appliance on top of the cloud security perimeter, right? So of course, cloud perimeter security is there default and de facto, but we have taken additional precaution. We actually installed checkpoint software appliance in HA mode in each region, right? So that way, the checkpoint today is from a cloud security standpoint, right? It is the most advanced technology that we have across the globe. FortiGate is the next and many others, but checkpoint has that advanced threat management and many other features, right? So they're live now 7 months and absolutely fine. And things are going. It's actually almost 9 months it took for us to move the entire piece web by web, right? We did not move entire thing in one shot. It's all happened web by web application migration. Each web will go by its move group, and that move group, when it's migrated, there will be a UAT, there will be a testing, goes to the transitions into the managed services, and then the next wave starts. Entire thing has happened seamlessly, non-intrusive, without any disruption, any challenge, right? Yeah, so the most important thing what they have achieved is 27% savings on TCO. Even after all this, going to Oracle Cloud, they are able to garner only at the TCO level. TCO means total cost of ownership in the infrastructure level, right? Between on-premise or data center to the Oracle Cloud, they are able to, kind of garner 27% savings only on TCO. This is a little about Oracle, what he did for Meritor, just to give you a little sense about.
Sujit, I think since we're on time, we have discussed about the case study. I think can we take the questions now,
Yes,
Sujit?
sure, sure.
Okay, so we have a question called from Quack again. Thank you, Quacku. The question is ISO 31,000 and 27,000. From amongst this, which is the preferred framework for cloud, since ISO 31,000 is dedicated for risk management.
Okay, fantastic. So whether it's a risk management, yes, you have to do the risk management at one point, whether you are in cloud or in on-premise. Definitely, that's a framework for risk management. But risk management, whether you can do it risk management without doing any groundwork, or maybe without doing any ISO 27001 or NIST, that is of no use. You want to do, as somebody wants to do, can do. But I would recommend that you can do it on NIST. I would recommend you should implement NIST, right? But if it is possible, I would always recommend do it from 27001 and then implement NIST on top of it. And then you do your risk assessment, right? That way it will give you much better result. Yeah. Did I answer?
Thanks, Sujit. Another question which we have is, are there any security certifications from third parties that we should know about while adopting to cloud?
You have to probably rephrase the question for me once again. Can I? Yeah, what is that question?
Yeah. Are there any security certifications from third parties that we should know about while moving to cloud?
No, there is no security certifications from third party as far as your cloud security is concerned. Not really. You should follow the best practices if you are doing yourself, right? And then the moment you go to cloud, I think SOC certification is the one I would recommend, because that is much deeper than
Okay.
ISO certifications. So SOC would help you, SOC attestations. Yeah.
Sure. Sujit, one more question is, uh, in a comparative basis, how do you compare a cloud security compared to an on-premises security?
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, I think yeah. So being infrastructure, inside the on-premise, on a hardware, it's all in your, in front of your eyes. You can see that, you can feel that. So you all feel always good and comfortable. Yes, my system is near me. I can touch and feel that. Okay, nobody's picking my data. Nobody's picking my system. From that perspective, probably you always feel comfortable, right? In the cloud, in the on-premise, cloud, the virtual layer being in the public, right? So obviously, that's a general perception that since it's in public, it will be more vulnerable. and it is exposed to more vulnerable threat surfaces. But please understand, the cloud is not in the cloud. The cloud is also in the data center. And by the way, all those data centers that cloud service providers actually host, they all are SOC certified, and they certify SOC very rapidly, not once in a year. They do the SOC certification more frequently than not. They almost do twice a year or sometimes thrice a year SOC certification they do, right? So from that perspective, the physical layer of the cloud security is pretty good. As far as the virtual layer piece on top, right? So you can say, so for example, I put a software firewall on top, right? So we can argue that hardware-based firewall versus software-based firewall. So hardware firewall obviously will fare much better than. So this is a perception, because end of the day, software firewall is also a throughput based, because that's also part of hardware, right? It's a virtually separated. There is a throughput allocated for each ports that we configure there as well. And but if I have to do a comparison between on-prem to cloud, I would say the comparison has to be done apple to apple. Most of the cases that I have seen, the comparison is not apple to apple. So sometimes we do not have in the on-premise a redundancy, the level of redundancy that cloud provide by default, right? But we want to compare. So if the redundancy that cloud provide, resiliency that cloud technology provides, if the same is configured in on-premise, then probably I would recommend from a security standpoint, I may vote 1 point extra for on-premise or data center based. That's a benefit of doubt I am giving. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, Sujit. I think we have reached the time. Thanks everybody for joining in. We do not have any additional questions. Once again, thanks everybody for joining this webinar. We will be sharing the recordings with you all. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.